right, sorry about that. I was just looking at some things. I think I had some mic issues just from muting that beginning. So yeah, Chris Fonts, not Fontes. I'm glad to be corrected by that finally. So for those that jumped in, I actually had some issues with, I think, your mic recording. So just kind of want to brief real quickly kind of over what we did. We can edit that kind of after the fact with our recording. But tell me a little bit about you, Carly, first, if you don't mind just kind of prefacing what you just shared within that first minute or two.
Sure.
And then we'll kind of jump around. Sorry about that.
Sure. Yeah, no worries. I was told there was no editing, by the way. So.
There wasn't going to be any editing, but now I've got no choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then we got to cut out what I want, too.
No? Fair enough. All right. This is your chance now. We're cutting things out now.
No, so I was just saying I'm local. This is, my home. My one side of my family is from Midway. The other side of my family is from Wallsburg, and we run pretty deep here. So it's home. And I don't know if we caught the part where we ended up moving the company out to Denver.
Nope. We just kind of, that's when I noticed.
That's
so.
when you're like, okay.
Yep. Got a problem here.
So we were based here. We've done a couple of iterations of companies. Trojan Horse Cannabis is our newest and most successful one, thankfully. But our one before that was called Project Hemp Flower. And we worked mainly with hemp flower. Looked and smelled just like, regular cannabis. Utah did some strange things with their laws, and we ended up just moving the company to Denver because it was a little bit more friendly. But now doing this, we're completely on the up and up, and it's kind of a strange world how that ended up. So they left me out here. I'm kind of the Lone Ranger, and I'm totally fine with that. I would not want to move out of this beautiful valley.
Yeah, it is a lovely, lovely place. I mean, I've been here 5 years, as most of the viewers know, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon. That's why we got a podcast going. So you were sharing also how you and your cousin, you said? Cousin's married to Chris, right?
That's right.
Okay, so you guys are co-owners of the company.
Co-owners, co-founders.
He decided to kind of up and book out of nowhere, move to Denver. So with headquarters now being in Denver, but you kind of being here, what's kind of your role here within town and how you're still trying to promote the company?
Yeah, so as a business owner, you wear many hats. I've done everything from social media to accounting, marketing, quality control, production, all of that good stuff. And I've still got my fingers in a lot of that. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get completely out of it, but that's totally fine with me. Right now, I'm more focused on spreading word, spreading more awareness, and getting our product in front of more people. So that's really one of the reasons why me and you hooked up, and so that's my goal out here.
Cool. So tell me a little bit about your products. I know, again, we're going to cover a lot of stuff involving cannabis because there's just so many misconceptions, so many unknowns for a lot of people, as it is kind of a newer thing being legalized fairly recently, especially here in Utah.
Absolutely.
It's been quite a journey. So tell me a little bit of some of the products that you guys actually have here locally.
Sure. So our products are technically hemp products, but they do have the same amount of THC of like a dispensary grade product, which is, surprising to most people. They don't. When they hear me talk about our products, they're like, oh, so CBD. And I'm like, yeah, there are some of our products that have CBD in them, but the THC is really what we want you to know about. There's a lot of beauty to what we can do now. I'm really blessed to be able to get products like this in people's hands because, as we know, getting your medical card in Utah can be challenging. There are hoops. You have to go to the doctors, you have to get recommended for it, you have to pay the fines, you have to do check-ins and all that. Our products are the exact same thing that you'd get in a dispensary, but we can ship them to your door, and you can even buy them locally, which is amazing. So
that's great to know. So I was kind of going to wait till kind of dropping these towards the end of the show. Maybe we can revisit it, but what are some of the local businesses where you can actually purchase product?
Yeah. So Aspen Grove Rustics was our very first store to carry it. They're outside on the end of town. They're one of the first people to start carrying CBD. And then just recently, Body and Soul picked it up. If you haven't been in there, they're a great business. They've got all sorts of cool things in there. And then on the Fringe Salon, we love Tracy. She's a great hairstylist, but she just started carrying our products as well. So,
cool. And that's out as you're going towards Midway.
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So dropping THC, dropping CBD. Now, obviously, we know what that is, but for a lot of our viewers, that's still kind of, something that a lot of people don't understand the differences between.
Absolutely.
Oftentimes THC is noted as like, oh, well, that's the bad part of marijuana, and then the CBD is like the healing part of it. You want to break that down for our viewers, kind of educate them on that?
Absolutely. So CBD and THC are cannabinoids. The marijuana plant, or cannabis plant, I should say, has many different cannabinoids in it. It's not just THC. It's not just CBD. It's CBN, CBG, THCA. There's all sorts of cannabinoids in the cannabis plant, and they work together. So just splitting them, it defeats that entourage effect. And that's really unfortunate, because up until modern medicine, where we can start isomerizing things down and synthesizing things, that's what we relied on. You didn't just take CBD, or you didn't just take this, 50 milligrams of this or 50 milligrams of that. It was an entourage effect. So, there's all sorts of great things about having those things together.
Absolutely. So mentioning that, and then kind of the hemp versus the marijuana aspect of it, like how do you make it to where it's legal for you guys to actually be able to sell it over the counter?
Sure. So in 2018, the Farm Bill passed that stated that cannabis is now, hemp is any cannabis sativa L under 0.3%. So that's and just to clarify, there is cannabis, and then there's hemp, and then there's marijuana. They are both cannabis. So the way that I try to explain this to people is, it's like going in a grocery store and buying a Granny Smith apple or a Gala apple. Both apples. Where it comes in is that 0.3 magical number, where it all of a sudden makes it hemp and not marijuana. That separates that. So that's more of a legal split. How we do it is we extract the THC from the hemp plant. Remember, it's still a cannabis plant, instead of the marijuana plant. Exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing. And then what they didn't realize is that 0.3% number, while it makes it harder for flower, it makes it incredibly easy to put enough THC to fill it inside of an edible. So, for instance, most of our gummies, and I guess I should talk about that. We have gummies, we have seltzers, we have tinctures, we have mints. We've got all sorts of edible products. In a gummy, for instance, most of our gummies are between 5 grams and 6 grams. So a 5.5 gram gummy is 5,500 milligrams material, right? Well, 0.3% of that is 16.5 grams. So I can take 16.5 grams of THC, put it in that gummy, and still keep it below that 0.3%.
Gotcha.
10 milligrams is a standard dispensary dose.
Right.
So if a gummy has 10 milligrams in it, it's below the 0.3, it's extracted from hemp, it's legal.
Interesting. See, now all that's so fascinating, because we've come a long way from the old days. I mean, even just as you were sharing something earlier, I'm thinking, so it's not like the old days where, you're running the streets, just grabbing it, getting it from anybody that's slinging on a corner, right? So with that, I'm curious about the ratios, because one thing that I hear a lot of people, and more I'm finding people are finally kind of becoming aware of this, but a lot of people in the early stages, when it was moving into just CBD and you had the marijuanas, no one was ever really mixing them together, and I've noticed CBD was never really effective like it is now.
Sure.
So share with us a little bit of the percentages in kind of what you guys, since having THC and CBD together within your products, and what them two together actually produce.
Sure. So Utah's an interesting state. They have decided that there needs to be a 10-to-1 ratio. So what that means is, for every milligram of THC, there's 10 milligrams of CBD, which is my personal favorite ratio. Now, we also carry 5-to-1, 1-to-1, and THC only products. And what is best for you is different than what is best for the person next to you.
Absolutely.
It's like some people need a little bit more salt, some people need a little bit more sugar. You got to have all the flavors together, know. So the 10-to-1 does have the higher CBD. And a lot of people like that for some of the benefits that could potentially come from that. But there's also people who just want to use a recreational product, so like a THC only product. and I don't know, did I explain the entourage effect earlier?
No, not on the show.
That might have been just me and you.
Yeah,
so,
that was.
So the entourage effect, it wasn't up until, recently that we've started isomerizing and taking apart medicines, so 50 milligrams of this and 50 milligrams of this. Are you sure we haven't talked about this on the show?
Maybe a little part of it, but we went a little bit more in advanced personally off the show.
Okay, yeah. So it's you need both to be able to enjoy the full effects of cannabis.
That's good to know, because I know in the early stages of when CBD was being pushed, it was literally just CBD, and it was all the rave, but like no one was really ever getting any, benefits from it.
Yeah. So back when it was being pushed early on, it was so expensive. 2018 hit, people were like, oh, we can get CBD, we can, use this. It has so many, things that we can try it for, but it was so expensive that people weren't getting a high enough dose of what they needed.
Gotcha.
You'd go out and you'd buy a 100 milligram bottle of CBD, and really people need a lot more.
Gotcha.
So
interesting. Yeah. So mentioning the straight THC, how do are you guys actually able to sell that stuff as well? How does all that work?
Sure.
Because that's kind of fascinating to me. I didn't even know that you could do that, even though, because it's categorized as hemp, there's kind of this little magical way of being able to still sell that over counters and stuff.
So in Utah, we can't.
Okay, that's what I thought.
We cannot sell anything that doesn't have a 10-to-1 ratio.
Okay, that's kind of what I thought. Gotcha.
However, we can mail it to you.
Really?
Yes, legally we can mail it to you. And we're actually on the USPS's approved vendors list. So our packages come through and they don't even blink an eye.
Wow.
They were getting, snagged at the beginning. And
I was going to say, this has got to be fairly recent, because I remember before Chris moved, we actually even kind of briefly talked about that as being a concern, because they wouldn't allow you to actually ship stuff out.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They, with the flower, it was hard because you could smell it, right?
Right.
People,
it's all the same to you,
if
right?
they weren't catching it, the packages were disappearing. And,
so true.
Some of those USPS employees were having a great time. But, when USPS caught it, as long as we had the proper paperwork in there, we told them, go ahead, open the box, check it all out, everything's good. As a company, we fall on the up and up, always. Once these started getting caught, I moved it up the chain. I was like, is there any way that we cannot have this be a problem anymore? And they were like, yeah, we'll put you on the approved vendor list. And we haven't had a problem since.
Wow.
So, it's been great. besides the usual packages getting smashed or, but other than that, we're on the approved vendor list for USPS. UPS, we have a personal account with them. We can ship it straight to your door in a very discreet package. So our seltzers have been getting really popular.
That intrigued me, yeah.
Yeah, they're like Trulies or White Claws, just without the alcohol and THC. So they're designed to be able to go out and have a few drinks with your buddies instead of having beers. Have some THC seltzers.
That's pretty neat. Now, that brings a curious question that literally just popped at me just by thinking about it as you're talking. So. Sure. In a case like that, we were talking about random drug test kind of things. Like, how does that affect drug testing, and can...
It is the exact same thing of what you'd get in a dispensary.
Okay, so you got to be careful if you're getting drug tested from your...
Yep.
Okay, good to know. All right, glad I'm self-employed. I'll leave it at that.
It's a great question to ask.
Yeah, because, somebody might not know, and then it's like, well, I had a drink. I didn't know.
Yep.
Good to know. Almost like when you used to pop the old special brownies back in the day, and you were like, whoa, man, what's going on here?
Yes, it could be definitely used for a good old time. So.
Yeah, okay, good to know. So, talking about plants earlier and kind of the synthetics and stuff as we were talking about, explain to us a little bit more about Delta 8, which I know is something that a lot of people don't quite understand.
Yeah, so right now there's a big... and so when the Farm Bill passed, people were trying to find all sorts of different ways to get intoxicating products on the market. One way that they found before our products were even around, or products like ours, some very smart scientists found that if you take CBD isolate, which is CBD that has been pulled out of the plant and isolated down to just CBD. Run it through a chemical process. It can actually change the shape of the molecule to delta 8, which is an intoxicating molecule. Now, the problem with delta 8 is, even though it's found in the plant naturally, you would have to extract tons and tons of raw material to get enough to put into a gummy. There's just no way. On a scale, there's just no way. So the only way to get a delta 8 product is by synthesizing CBD. Now, humans have never put that much delta 8 into their bodies. It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It's probably fine. But the fact is that we don't know.
Right.
There's also other companies that, because there's very little regulation around products like ours, there's also companies that aren't always the best actors. And so all these chemicals that they use to change that, they don't remediate them out. And so not only are you getting delta 8, you're getting everything that came along with it.
Right.
So that's one beautiful thing about our company, is that we fully test.
Good to know.
Batch test, input material test. By the time the product gets to you, it's been tested 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And we test for residual solvents. We test for microbials, heavy metals, everything that you could think of. And all of our tests are on our website. You can check them out. They're clear for you to see. Hemp is a very interesting plant because it remediates out of the soil. It will take all of the bad stuff and put it in its leaves,
right?
Which is great for the soil. So, for instance, if you have a tomato, well, it's so good at what it does. If you have a tomato plant growing in your garden, it'll be fine. It won't have those pesticides. It won't have those heavy metals that might be left over from maybe a previous owner or some bad soil or something. You put a hemp plant in there, it's going to suck all those heavy metals out. So even though the tomato was fine, the hemp plant has now got all of those bad things in them. They actually use them in Chernobyl to remediate all of the radiation.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
wow.
If you don't test your cannabis and you don't know that soil was clean, that stuff will make it into your end user product.
Fascinating. I did not really know that. That's wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's a very cool plant, and we've done some growing of our own, just kind of in our office and stuff, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's some cool plants, but I'm so sorry. I diverted from the synthetic.
No, that was great. I learned a lot right there, so I was kind of just eating it up. So.
Well, just to return back to synthetic products. As a company, we've decided to stay away from those. We don't touch delta 8. There are also other companies that are doing delta 9. So delta 9 is the original THC. It's the stuff that you'd be smoking back in the day. You know, you can convert CBD isolate into delta 9 as well. Then you have the same problems with the residual solvents and everything that you can find in them. So you just have to be very cognizant of what companies you decide to go with, and there's other companies that are doing it the right way, but there's a lot that aren't, because it's not cheap. It's a long process. There's a lot of testing that goes into it. So just be aware of that if you ever want to purchase. So
no, great to know. Well, I mean, I just love the element that you can actually get this stuff over the counter now. And I mean, when I moved here, we had to go through the whole medical card process, and we've only got like one shop that's out in Park City and all that different stuff. So it's nice to know that there's other options without just insane tax inflation. And I mean, I could go on and on.
Oh, yes. And that's one great thing about our products, is that we don't have to pay for licensing to do any of that. We don't have to pay the marijuana tax. So we pass that savings on to the consumer. Like, it's going to be much cheaper than what you buy in a dispensary.
That's awesome.
So
in regards to cannabis, CBD and THC, because they both have their different benefits, obviously combined together, what kind of benefits do you typically see people using the plant, and what kind of ailments do they usually solve for them?
Sure. So, most people, when they approach cannabis, they want it for 2 different reasons: rec, or there's an issue that they're having that they're looking for a solution for. Now, the FDA has told me that I cannot say what those issues are, but any issue that you might go to a dispensary for, there have been solutions in our products. So really anything that you can think of.
So essentially what you're telling me, if I'm interpreting this correctly, is you guys pretty much have a product for just about any and everything that's out there that you could recommend in a sense?
Yeah, if you're going to a dispensary, I would recommend trying our products.
Gotcha.
For your solution.
Okay, because I know with dispensaries how it used to be, and I don't think it's any different these days, is you'd kind of go in, you'd tell them all your different issues, and they'd recommend you a certain strain, and this one's a little bit more relaxing, more for your, you know, calm down your mental overthinking. Indica versus sativa. Exactly.
You know, that's a whole nother thing, but basically ours is going to be like a hybrid.
Okay.
So and the ratios are going to be a big thing for you, and how you want to use the different products. For instance, most edibles will kick in, you know, hour and a half. You know, you take a gummy and then you'll feel it an hour and a half later.
Right.
Our seltzers are a really cool product because you drink those, you'll feel them within the first 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay, because it's ingest. Well, how's it different from the edible? I'm curious.
It's the same path.
Yeah, right? I'm like, well, hold on here. I'm getting mind blown. Let's go a little deeper here.
Yeah. So the seltzers are nano-ice. Right. So when anybody who's touched cannabis, right, they know that it's sticky. Right. You're breaking it up. It's sticky. It sticks to your fingers. That's because it's an oil-based material. It's not water-based. It's not water-soluble. So there's a nanoization process that it goes through. It takes that big chunk of oiled product and, you know, boulder breaks it into sand. So it just makes those particles smaller so you can absorb it quicker. It passes right past the first phase of metabolization.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, and you know, we can see this in food, right? You take a shot of alcohol.
Right.
You can feel it within the first. My mom's always like, my face is numb within the first 5 minutes of taking a shot. I'm like, oh.
My lips are instantly numb the second it touches. So.
You know. But if you eat a sandwich, you know, you feel the energy or, you know, sometimes that sleepiness after eating. But that usually takes a little bit longer. So with nanoization, it's just moving more towards that alcohol type absorption. So it just makes it smaller so you can skip that first step.
Interesting. So I'm really intrigued by the whole seltzer type idea here.
Sure.
So, because I've never heard of anything like that before. This is obviously fairly something new in general.
Is. And it's a real bummer that we can't sell it here.
Yeah.
You know, over the counter.
Right.
Wouldn't it be great to go to a bar and just get a cannabis seltzer?
But hey, I get it shipped to my door and
there
I can closet drink, you know?
Backyard barbecue, you know?
have all your friends over.
Yeah.
There you go. So I almost keep wanting to call it alcohol. I'm like, with the alcohol consumption, I'm like, but we're not drinking alcohol. It hits you immediately. How long does that take to wear off versus, say, an edible or something else? Because edibles stay with you quite some time. Typically.
Sure. You know, it's not quite as long.
I figured.
You're able to better regulate where you're at.
Okay.
You know, when you take an edible, you're on the train, you know, until the train stops.
Yep. At its mercy.
A seltzer, you can drink it and kind of regulate that.
That's neat.
Yeah.
So you can regulate it just by, okay, all right, it's just like drinking a beer. I've had too much. Time to ease up a little bit. All right, it's wearing off. Let me finish killing it. Now, curious question, it just kind of popped in my mind, is carbonated?
Yes.
Okay, so then that obviously, if I were to, you know, leave it there after a half hour, carbonation kind of dies out, flavoring dies out. Not something I'd necessarily want to leave and come back to a half hour later sort of thing.
I mean, the effects wouldn't be any different. You know, it's
like right, effects-wise, but as far as...
beer,
yeah, so. No thanks. I'll drink it in one shot, got it.
Just, you know, what did you used to do in college? You take all the old ones?
Mix them together? Yeah, it's just
me.
Brand new. It's like when you get popcorn, throw it in the microwave. It's like it was just pop, right? Oh, that's funny. Okay, so other products. We've got like the Nano. What's that?
So the Nano is just the process of the seltzers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the process that they do for that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We do have tinctures, which are, you know, a lot of I'd say older patients like that a little bit. It's a little bit more controlled.
Yeah.
You
Not a fan.
Yeah. Well, you have to hold it in your mouth for so long because it's sublingual.
Right. Your glands pick it up and absorb it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, that one's great. It's a little bit more controlled about how much dosage you're getting.
True.
And if that is also something that you're concerned about, we do have micro mints.
Okay.
So each mint is just 2 milligrams. So
Interesting.
you cut one in half, get 1 milligram, use it throughout the day. So that's also a great one. The reason that we actually created that product is that we found most elderly people, 70s, 80s, were cutting them in half. Or in quarters or in eighths, just smaller. So we're like, we're gonna make this smaller.
Honey, what pill is this?
Yeah. Just take it.
Just take it.
You'll be fine. It'll be fun.
Enjoy the ride. You're fine. That's great. So we did kind of talk about where you could buy the product. So are there any kind of specials that you've got going on with it? Like what's the average price point? All those different things.
Sure. Yeah. So, we love to support local, right? Love to support local. So the 3 shops that we have in town, Aspen Grove Rustics, Body and Soul, and On the Fringe, they have all agreed that if you mention this podcast, you'll get 20% off.
Oh, that's awesome.
Your first purchase. So then you can also go to our website if you're interested in any of your other products that you can't necessarily get over the counter here. 10% off with the code podcast. So
Sweet.
just enter podcast in at the end. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, for those that don't know, website is
TrojanHorseCannabis.com.
nice and simple.
Yeah. And it's so funny. I have to point this out because a lot of people miss it. I actually had one of my coworkers that had worked for us for 6 months, had no idea. Trojan Horse Cannabis, THC. So.
Oh my goodness!
You can thank Chris for that one.
That is terrible that just dawned on me right there. You guys screenshot my face when she said that. That's funny. I was wondering where the name came from.
Sure.
Did the name kind of come more derived with the THC in mind, or
not really?
Okay, so that was just kind of happenstance.
It was a great happenstance, or coincidence,
Wow.
or whatever you want to call it. We found a way to put THC in everybody's hands, and because even our products that you can't sell here are legal to possess, so you don't have to worry about anything like that, and it comes with all your paperwork, all that good stuff. So yeah,
that's neat. Okay, so with that answer, what inspired Trojan Horse then, as far as the name? Because I thought that was kind of strange. That's why I was kind of having an epiphany there. I'm like, this was all set up.
There's meaning behind it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it was a lot simpler than I thought.
Did you take one of the gummies before?
I did not. Not today, at least.
Okay. No. So just the story of the Trojan horse.
Okay.
We're sneaking it in there. We found a way to deliver our little THC army into the nation.
Cool.
So yeah.
So kind of has become multi-purpose now.
Yep. So Trojan Horse Cannabis came from that, and then just the fact that it's THC worked out really well. So
interesting.
Yeah. It's one thing that I really do take pride in. A lot of people are searching for these type of products and have been told for the longest time, no, you can't have them.
Right.
You can't have them. And so I feel very lucky to be able to provide that to people. And like I said, there's a lot of other companies that have followed in our footsteps. I'm proud to say that we were the first, and we're doing it the right way. So full panel testing, making sure that everything is on the up and up. We actually require people to be 21 and older. Utah just passed this May 3rd.
Okay.
That wasn't a requirement until
just
last
recently.
month. Yeah.
Okay.
But we do require, we don't want this to get in children's hands.
Right.
So, so we've required that from the very beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
What are you guys doing to try and, the words just completely left me, but try to, facilitate that and make sure that you're staying within, checking to make sure that you're over 21 kind of a thing.
Sure.
How are people enforcing that, I guess?
There is an age checker on our website.
Okay.
And we use a third-party age checker. That's what they do.
Okay.
We don't retain any of the information.
Gotcha.
That's different.
Just kind of entry, in a sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can get on the website, you can browse around, but in order to purchase, you have to prove that you are 21.
Okay.
So, and it does say, right there. And then also before we were, and in other states, because other states don't require an age check for purchase. I talk a lot of smack on Utah, but I'm very thankful. I know.
Pros and cons,
They like to change laws very quickly, but I understand a lot of the things that they put into place.
Yeah.
And I really wish that there was more regulation, because I do see a lot of garbage out there. Yeah, but anyways, our contract, in order to work with us to carry our products, the stores do have to ID check.
Okay.
And then if we do hear rumors of a store not doing that, we just pull our products. And it sucks, but that's just not, we don't want to be facilitating that. So.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So I'm curious, what are you guys open to having product in more stores here locally?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So yeah, we'd love to, and that's one beautiful thing about having me here. They like, we're just gonna leave Carly behind, and I'm like, well,
I'll be working.
Yeah, well, I'll find stuff to do.
Right.
No, I will be out and about. You'll see me around town. I will be at the brewery on Sundays. They're kind enough to let me go there.
Cool.
But I'll be expanding to Park City and Provo. We've got some stores in Orem. So
nice.
Yeah.
So you guys, the main plan is to try to get as widespread as possible, right? Locally.
Yep.
And then as far as with the website, I'm assuming all states can be shipped?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Canada?
No.
Okay, so just the U.S.
Yeah, just the U.S.
Okay.
So we do have our products in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which is pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go down there and have some gummies and some seltzers right on St. John. So
okay. Yeah. So for seltzers, I got to go up on the website and order there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Or travel outside of state. We actually have another salesperson in Tennessee who's doing a great job. And out there, the seltzers. Well, we've got 2 people out there that are just saturating it. So, yeah.
So if I were to buy out of state, where would I go out of state in proximity to here, say, to get seltzers?
So we have a store locator on our website.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
So anywhere you're at in the country, you just jump on there and see where our products are sold. And
sweet.
Yeah.
You made my complicated question really easily answered. I was like, all right, this is getting too logistical here or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
Website
awesome.
has all your answers.
All right. Good to know. So, let's see. We've kept this pretty business oriented, but this is just a fascinating topic, and I feel that it's something that a lot of people aren't very familiarized with. I mean, I coming from California, Los Angeles, we all know that, and I'm very educated in a lot of this stuff because it's been legalized for years now. But I mean, even some of the stuff you were dropping on me, specifically even just the drink, I'm like, wait, what? Huh?
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like, this is mind blowing to me. So we covered a lot of stuff with that, but now let's jump in and have a little fun here. Okay. So we've ran pretty well. We're at about 45 minutes now. Kind of want to just throw some fun stuff. I know, right? Time flies when you're having fun, right?
It sure does.
All right. So I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a personal, so people can kind of get to know you rather than the business. And then we'll do kind of a little bit of a speed questionnaire, kind of wrap things up in a minute. As quickly as you can answer as many questions as I can throw at you, and have a little fun for kind of a closing segment.
Groovy. I'm ready.
All right, cool.
Let's make it happen.
So what is the most important thing you've learned in life? And feel free, if there's even anything business related that goes to the business that you can tie into, have fun with it.
Sure. Everything works out one way or another. Mm-hmm. It could be one way or it could be that way, but it always works out.
Good point.
Yeah.
What is your biggest success and also your biggest failure? Obviously not the same thing, but or they might be. Who knows?
My biggest success is just staying in an industry that I love. And I hate to put it back to business, but yes, it is one of my biggest. It's not somewhere that I thought I'd be. I worked in hospitality for 8.5 years, and when Chris called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to go into cannabis?" I was like, why not? I think that's a really big success. I'm very proud to be, like I said, the first company to do this kind of things. My biggest failure, you're putting me on the spot.
You don't have to have one. It was just kind of like...
I'm perfect. No. Let's see. I've done all of my college required classes and have never applied for graduation.
What?
I know. Isn't that so stupid?
That's the easy part. I know. Like, man, I've applied for graduation a ton of times, but I've never done any of my classes, so they always deny me.
Yeah, I'm the other way around. I'm a pretty unique person. It's fine.
Oh, that's.
And
well,
I keep getting emails from them. They're like, "Hey, do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Tomorrow."
I'm gonna keep you accountable. All right.
Please do.
All right. We'll make this happen.
People have tried. So.
Oh, I would. If I was that close to the finish line at that point after getting through all that. Whew.
It's also kind of like, I want to be one of those cool entrepreneurs that was like, yeah, I didn't need no college degree, but that's...
But you've already done it, though, so you can still say
Don't
it.
tell anybody.
Oh.
It goes for...
Well, no, I was saying you've already made it successful without going over the finish line, so you're technically in the clear.
That's true.
All right, we'll move on. Well, we kind of went through what did you learn through both of those experiences. We kind of touched on that. Most influential person in your life?
Both my parents. Like, both my parents were they're just amazing. So my dad passed away 5 years ago. And he was, my other half. I learned a lot from him. But my mom, on the other hand, is just so funny and so kind and so jovial. So while he was this very hardworking, very salt of the earth type of person, my mom's very ethereal and just happy. So I hope I'm a good blend of both of them. Yin and yang? Yin and yang, yeah.
Cool. What personally inspires you? Don't mention business.
Okay. Community inspires me. Like I love my little Wallsburg town. It's home. So yeah, the people that are around me, even if I'm not related to them or see them every day, it just makes life better.
Yeah. So. No, I couldn't agree with you more on that. What are you most passionate about?
Besides cannabis?
I stripped that from the last question, so if you want to use that one for this one, you can.
I've got a couple different passions. Cannabis is definitely up there. I do a lot of fostering and trap neuter release for Paws for Life here in town.
Oh, sweet.
So in Wallsburg alone, I've fixed 212 cats.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And then I love to cook. I love to garden.
Nice.
So I'm kind of this mix of this young, crazy cannabis person and this 65-year-old woman who just wants to stay in her garden all day.
Yin and yang.
Yes. Hey, it's come full circle.
That's great. Yeah, Pause for Life, great organization. We're actually going to be doing some work with them in the near future.
Very cool.
But yeah,
let me know
not about me.
I can participate in that because I want to.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, we'll actually talk about some things that are kind of going on in the community that I'd love you to be a part of.
Cool.
What's your favorite story that you could share?
Ooh, that I could share. There's a lot in this industry that just you get a little wild.
That's why that you could share.
That I
can share, I guess.
That I could share.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't have to be anything crazy per se. It could be a funny story, something that's very memorable, I guess.
Oh.
I know.
Man, you're putting me on the spot.
We could skip it.
Yeah, come back to that.
All right. Power.
So many stories. None of them super appropriate.
Fair enough. Say no more. All right, so little quick speed round. I literally just kind of threw these questions together. I like the questions, so it's kind of the one segment that I kind of keep the same show to show.
Sure.
Kind of just, from all the seriousness to now kind of laying back, closing things out. All right, so favorite movie?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I do love that movie.
Good choice.
So.
Your first job?
I was a dishwasher at the Wagon Mill right here
so
on Main Street.
So that was the hub? Because I heard that was almost coming out of your mouth.
Not the hub.
Different place?
Wagon Mill. So
okay.
You probably have never seen the Wagon Mill.
Never seen it. So.
Yeah, it's right there where Jimmy John's is now.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was the Briggs family. I'm going to go way back here. But yeah, I was 15 years old washing dishes in the back.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Native.
Yes.
Like, I hear that, and I always think someone's going to say something from somewhere else, but then I forget, like, oh, no, born and raised here.
Yep.
All right, last thing you recall Googling.
Actually, the last thing I recalled Googling is store locations, so I could enter them into the store locator on my website.
I was just going to ask. Don't tell me it was the website, because that's a problem.
I'm obsessed. Close to it, though.
Okay, all right. Favorite subject in school?
Math. I always enjoyed math and history. Math and history. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Best compliment you've ever received?
Ooh, I get compliments on my hair all the time.
Do you?
Which I hated it. I hated how curly it was. So,
I'm that same
yeah.
way. If I had hair, which you guys clearly do not see, it is very curly. Hence why I have no hair. Partially.
You should grow it out, embrace it.
I had it just about shoulder length for a while before we met, so you'll have to look at those. All right, worst insult that you actually were proud of?
Oh, that I'm stubborn.
Okay,
I like that
I'd take that one all day too.
Yep. I'm totally fine being stubborn.
Me too.
You should ask Chris. Sorry.
Okay, will do. If you had one meal for the rest of your life, only one meal to eat, what would that meal be?
Anything dairy, but specifically macaroni and cheese. So
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Fancy mac and cheese or straight out of the box mac and cheese?
Definitely fancy mac and cheese.
Okay,
yeah, with
thank
the
you.
crumbles on top.
Step it up a little bit. Yeah, breadcrumbs, real cheese.
Now, don't get me wrong. I work for a cannabis company, okay? Box mac and cheese is great. So.
Little THC, CBD, mac and cheese. Boom.
Yeah, we're good.
That's awesome. All right. So, and then just last kind of closing questions. We kind of touched the majority of these things, but are there any new, cool, upcoming things that you would like to share with the company that you would like viewers to hear about?
So, like I said, every Sunday I'm gonna try and be at the brewery. You know, I like beer too, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
You can come see me there. I'll probably be there from 12:30 to like 3. We're probably gonna be doing a pop up in front of Body and Soul. I was just recently talking about a pop-up in front of Aspen Grove Rustics. I haven't set dates for those.
Okay.
We do have a booth at the Wasatch County Fair,
okay,
which I'm really excited about. So definitely come see me there.
Sweet.
And I can answer all your questions in person. So
awesome. And then lastly, other than buying products, if there's anything else, how can the community rally around you and support you and the company?
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
You know, maybe this product isn't for you. I mean, there's still a stigma around it. I totally understand, and especially in this state. But if there's somebody that you know that this might help, give them my information. Tell them to give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to them. So any kind of word of mouth really helps. And while we're at it, you know, the phone number is at the bottom of our website.
Okay.
But it's 888-862-4563. You can always call and just ask for Carly. I'm happy to talk to anybody in my community.
Okay.
So.
Sweet. So that's kind of like a contact line. Can they actually call in for orders rather than going for the website, say if they're non-techie?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to call, and we actually take orders all the time from people who don't use their computer for one reason or another. So it's usually Scott that's going to answer, or Haley.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah.
Awesome. All right, Carly. Well, thank you for being on the show. You educated, at least if not everybody on the show, you educated me a ton, which I'm surprised that there was so much I didn't know. But thanks for sharing with us, and thank you for being a guest on the show.
Yeah, awesome. And thank you. And are you sure you didn't want me to explain the entourage effect again?
I mean, you know, third time's a charm, right? Might as well, right? Maybe they didn't quite get it like I didn't, apparently.
Well, thank you, Josh. I really appreciate it. And
my pleasure.
I look forward to working with you in any way we can.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much.